This week on Today's Homeowner, we're moving into the kitchen for one of the most dramatic changes yet in our First Time Homeowner series. So stay right here as we explore some great ideas and cool materials while we have a little fun. Look at that, what do you think?
It looks awesome.
We're digging deeper and deeper into our first-time homeowner project, and it's steadily gaining momentum. My daughter Chelsea is renovating her first house, and we're bringing the cameras along for the ride. She settled into her house a few months ago and immediately started planning improvements. Since then, we've remodeled the exterior with beautiful low-maintenance materials and renovated the tiny bathroom to maximize the space and visual appeal. Now it's time to tackle the seriously outdated kitchen in this 70-year-old house. Chelsea's been busy online looking at cabinet choices, and she went straight to Marilat.com to check out their step-by-step kitchen planner. With this design tool, she answers a few questions that allows the online tool to make suggestions on the style and functionality of her kitchen. The steps include getting started, inspiration, door styles, organization and accessories, planning your space, and finally, all the finishing touches. She's also been talking with the kitchen designers at Marilat, and they've agreed to help out with the layout and provide some cabinets for her kitchen. That's great news because we've worked with Marilat many times before, and they always bring some cool ideas to the project. One idea is to open the kitchen up to the sunroom behind it. This area was originally a back porch, so our first step was leveling that floor to bring it up flush with the kitchen. Now it's time for the real work to start. On a kitchen renovation like this is when reality really sets in. When the homeowner has to remove everything out of the cabinets, put it in a box, and move it out to the storage area so that all of the cabinetry can be torn out. We're going to try to reuse as many of the cabinets as we possibly can. If you've ever removed all of the stuff out of your kitchen cabinets, you're probably amazed at how much stuff is actually in here. Here, let me give you a hand on this. This is one of those jobs people never allow enough time to do. Let me show you spinning plate. What's
No.
this? Oh. What's it like this?
You do those at your house on your plates.
The key is to pack it safely and organize it so that you can find it later. Once the cabinets are empty, it's time to start removing them.
Yeah.
All right, if you can.
I'm so strong, I just ripped it right off the wall.
There you go.
Hello.
Pretty, pretty. Before you tackle the appliances, be sure to turn off the power or gas. Tilt it straight towards me. Now, try to grab the gooey bottom.
Lucky me.
There you go. Getting the cabinets off the wall can be more tedious, especially with older ones like this.
Well, I'm not too keen on getting hit in the face with the cabinet, so.
But I'll bet. We good.
Got it?
Yep. It's gonna get real serious now. The microwave's going away. Now what you're gonna do?
Put that on the bed or something. We gotta keep that. Dump to the dump to the dump, dump, dump.
Now we'll save this.
Okay.
Taking apart a kitchen this old usually gives you some insight into the history of the house. I guess that's the original floor.
Oh.
45 or whatever.
Gross.
And see, they put it down. Look, they put it down directly over the one-by material.
Yeah.
And then that goes on top of that. That'll be a lot of fun to tear up. And occasionally, a surprise or two. Oh,
That's so mean. He was just teasing me.
Oh boy.
Oh, there was something. That's so gross. Oh my gosh.
Once the cabinets are all out, go ahead and hit. Here
That's
again.
all?
It's time to attack the wall between the kitchen and the sunroom. Okay, go to the other side.
It's about to get messy up in here.
How's that feel? All right, let me have a little fun here. We're only removing the bottom half of the other walls to give the plumber and electrician the access they need without having to rework the whole wall. Once we've done all the damage we can do, the guys from my construction crew drop by to begin framing. These temporary walls will support the kitchen and sunroom ceiling while we pull out what's left of the wall between those two spaces. Since this was originally the back wall of the house, there's a lot of load to be supported here.
It's certainly less than 8, 7'5".
Okay. What do you think as far as the options? I know before we were talking about putting some kind of beam that we would ledger these off to, maybe joist hanger them too. What do you think?
You know, I'm a big fan of a conventional beam, but I know that doesn't work with the cabinetry. So I think we need to work out something we can get as much wood in there as we can. I'm thinking cut the rafter tails, cut the ceiling joist back, and we'll slide a beam straight up to the roof decking.
And what we can probably get, what, like a 2x8 in there?
We'll be able to put a full 2x8 on the back beam and just shy of a full 2x8 on the front.
Still gonna be a little funky though. You're gonna have this coming down and then a step down of what, about 3.5 inches?
3.5.
Yeah, that's not ideal. But we don't want to lower this ceiling.
No.
So, okay, well, that's about the best we can do. I guess you can go ahead and get that beam in. We can take these temporary things down and man, it's gonna be pretty awesome though. It's a wide open space like this.
It really opened it up, getting the wall out.
Yeah, what do you think?
I like it. It's
Okay,
awesome.
good. While these guys finish up with the framing here on Chelsea's kitchen, let's check in with Joe for a simple solution to cut down the clutter coming from your kitchen.
Paper or plastic's not much of an option any longer, so you usually end up with dozens of plastic grocery bags that you need to recycle or reuse, but storing them neatly is always a challenge. Here's one idea. Start with a piece of 4-inch plastic sewer pipe and use a jigsaw to cut a rounded slot on one end. This is about 6 inches high and 2.5 inches wide. And then take an end cap and screw it to the wall. This is about 3 feet off the ground with a single 1 5/8 inch drywall screw. And then all you need to do is set the pipe in the end cap and fasten it to the wall, again with a single screw. You're gonna drive it, I drilled a hole in the back of the pipe. So I'm just gonna attach it right to the wall. Line it up. You want to get it pretty straight. You're going to drive in the screw. There you go. And now you can take the bags and stuff them in the pipe. This pipe is about 2 feet long. It'll hold a surprising number of bags. You can probably fit 4 or 5 dozen bags in there. You just stuff them in. And then when you need to use one, you just pull it out. It works almost like a tissue dispenser. And when you come in, empty out your groceries, just stuff them back in, and they're ready when you are.
We've waded waist deep into the renovation of my daughter Chelsea's kitchen, and though it looks rougher now than before, we're headed in the right direction. With the walls in the kitchen and sunroom opened up, now the electrician has arrived to begin pulling new wire for both spaces. Chelsea's even decided to get into the act by rerouting the cable for her televisions herself. That's a great way for a do-it-yourselfer to help control costs because it isn't quite as dangerous as working with electricity, but it can be just as dirty.
Here's what I wanted to show you in the kitchen.
Okay.
I know we were trying to overlay the old plaster ceiling with sheetrock, but I'm worried about it's not as stable as it should be.
Oh, yeah, I see the separation on that right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What's the deal right in there? Because that's got a little bit of a deflection or something in there.
Well, we have one ceiling joist where the old attic stair was headed off and it was cut, and a roof brace was stacked on top of the headed ceiling
so it's like
joist.
pushing the ceiling down?
It's pushing it down, so we're going to have to cut that joist loose and raise it back up and strap it off.
Oh my gosh.
And also with this old bathroom wall, look how they got all this stuff cut out of here and everything. It'd be good to get that plaster off and then put some strings there to make sure that that's good and level.
It sure will.
But you'll know if it's not good and plumb when you start putting those cabinets in.
They'll show it.
Okay, all right, I'm good with it. After the earlier incident with the rat, Chelsea's taking no chances and sealing up every possible penetration in the walls and floors with expandable foam and caulk. For good measure, she's also adding some borax inside the stud bays to discourage insects from making a home there. Meanwhile, Joe's crew has removed that remaining plaster and they're insulating the sunroom ceiling before they start putting up the drywall. Like most homeowners at this point, Chelsea's also trying to imagine the finished space. With her cabinet perspectives, material samples, and paint samples in hand, she's checking out every angle and reviewing every little detail. But soon enough, her imagination gets a break as a truck full of brand new cabinets arrive and begins filling up the house. This is always fun to watch, but especially when it's your own daughter. All right, what do you think? Does it look like it did when you looked at it on the computer or the little sample?
Well, yeah, it looks great. It looks so much different than just the little sample and see a whole cabinet panel. It looks great.
I like it a lot too because it's not completely white, soft white, and kind of feels like the house. Feels like an older house like that.
Yep. And I'm really surprised at how many boxes are here, and I don't know how all these cabinets are going to fit in this tiny little space.
Yeah, there's a lot of little components here, but within just a few hours, this room is going to look a lot like that. The cabinets will fill the galley-shaped kitchen and wrap around the corner into the sunroom to create an entertainment center. The style Chelsea selected with help from the Marilat designers is called Somerton Hill Maple, and that finish she likes so much is called chiffon with desert glaze. Now, installing an entire kitchen full of cabinets like this is not a project for a novice do-it-yourselfer. It's a lot like putting together a big three-dimensional puzzle with power tools, where each piece depends on the orientation of those around it and the walls behind it. So once the big elements are set, like the refrigerator enclosure and the corner cabinet, the guys can fill in the blank spots in between. They can do this because they work from a level line that's established for each wall. Then, as each unit goes up, the level is checked again in every direction possible. They also regularly refer back to the detailed layout our friends at Marilat have provided us. While they keep piecing together Chelsea's kitchen, let's check in with Jody for a best new product that might work for yours.
Hey Shay, how's it going?
Hey Jody, how are you?
Good. Now, I am in here with the flooring department with Shay. Now Shay, you've been working with Home Depot for what, 16 years?
16 years.
So you have seen a lot of customers come through, and I'm sure they've had a lot of questions about flooring in particular. So what are some of the things that people look for in flooring?
Well, the do-it-yourselfer is always looking for something that's going to be an ease of maintenance. Another good thing is the ease of installation as well.
That is right. Now, we've got this cherry block by DuPont that we're talking about in particular because it does those things. It's very easy to install. It's very durable. One thing I like about this too that also helps in its installation, and it has the underlayment underneath, so you don't have to do an extra step. Plus, it's also a noise reduction, so you're not getting that clicking sound on the floor.
That's right, Jody.
Now, what else is good about this particular one?
Another good thing is that it has a 50-year warranty on it that allows no stain resistant, fade resistant, so that's another good thing as well.
That's fantastic, and you can also put this below grade, which you can't typically do with all of your laminates. Shay, thank you so much for all your help.
Thank you, Jody, for seeing us today.
Absolutely. You know what? I do have another question.
The cabinets are finally going into Chelsea's new kitchen, and there's enough in place now to start planning the installation of some appliances like this uniquely designed vent hood the folks at Braun sent to Chelsea. And you get a straight shot all the way through to the roof?
Straight through the roof.
Man, that sounds pretty good.
Hey, Dad, I want to show you my all the kitchen tile
You
came
got all
in.
the samples?
Yeah, show you what it looks like in here.
Where to really see if everything ties together. Okay.
Yeah, well, this is the floor tile. So I don't know if you want to. I just wanted to see what it looked like on the floor.
Oh, that's
That
great.
looked pretty cool.
What is that, 18 by 18?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
And this is the backsplash I picked out.
I like that now. Look at that.
And this is the countertop sample, so I want to see what it kind of looked like on there.
Gee, that looks great.
That ties in really well.
See, I hate that kind of selection,
And
having
this
to
is-
tie all this stuff together.
I know. You hate it, I hate it. And this is the paint I picked out, which is kind of hard to tell in the sample. It's kind of a purplish blue, which should tie
I swear it
nicely
looks
with.
like there's some of that color in that right
Yeah.
there.
I picked it out from the countertop, so it should look pretty good.
Yeah, that should look great. And how, I mean, you're putting this all the way around?
I think so, yeah, and definitely up behind the vent hood and behind the shelves that are going up there. So
That sounds pretty good then. Which means Joe has to get that hood installed first. That starts with brackets to hold both the hood and the flue in place on the wall. After test fitting the hood to be sure it's level, Joe can cut the flue pipe to size and install it before adding that decorative cover. We're also adding a decorative touch to the walls in the sunroom. These beadboard panels can be painted the same color as the cabinets in the kitchen to help visually tie the two rooms together. The backer board that goes down on the floors next will also tie them together because it's the base for the porcelain tile that'll be the finished floor for both the sunroom and kitchen. But before the tile goes down, the countertops are going in. Chelsea chose a quartz top from Denova called Sand Staccato. Quartz counters are an engineered material that combines natural quartz, polymer resins, and colored pigments to create a beautiful non-porous surface that never needs sealants and is less likely to chip than granite. It's also mold, mildew, and stain resistant. We also talk about the placement of her backsplash tiles before she meets with Joe Deere, our tile contractor, about the details of his installation.
Basically right here, you're gonna have this exposed edge out here, and anywhere you have an exposed edge, you really need something to kind of reduce that down and put a little accent strip there.
And then will you guys be able to put it in here behind the vent all the way up? There's no room to do it behind.
Right, we'll just have to
Because
tile
that's all
around
built
it.
in.
Yeah.
So is that something you can do?
Joe gets his team up to speed on the details for the backsplash, but first they have a bigger job, laying the floor tile throughout the sunroom and kitchen. This 18 by 18 tile from Shaw Floors should be a good choice because it's porcelain, so it's extremely durable, and the color is just dark enough that it won't have to be cleaned every other day. That's important because I remember what Chelsea's room looked like when she was a teenager. After the floors, the backsplashes start going in and things start to take off quickly. It's sort of a circus, but before long, Chelsea's ready to start moving back in all that stuff we moved out weeks ago. And this time, to keep her cabinets nice and clean, she's using shelf liners. What's cool about this stuff from Duck Brand is that you can remove it and run it through the washing machine if you happen to have a spill.
Rachel asks, I'm seeing a lot of small cracks in my walls. Do I have a structural problem?
It's very unlikely that those small hairline cracks that you see on the walls in your home, maybe above doors and windows, are actual structural problems. It's usually just a little thermal expansion that can be repaired very easily by just using a little lightweight spackling. But the type of crack that you really need to be concerned with are those that are a little wider than that, maybe 3/16 of an inch or more, and where one side of the crack is not level with the other side of the crack. That can indicate some active structural movement. Also, if you have any doors in your home that don't fit the jambs quite as well as they used to, another telltale sign. Either of those situations, you need to call out a foundation specialist and allow them to look very closely at that area of your home. From the start, the kitchen in Chelsea's house was obviously one of the biggest challenges. Besides the fact that it was small, it was awkwardly arranged, and the appliances, surfaces, and materials were at least a generation or two out of date. It was bland and, frankly, a little depressing. But now her kitchen is a bright and inviting space. No square footage has been added, but the whole area feels a lot larger because we've opened it up to the sunroom, making both spaces more comfortable and functional. The vintage character of the new cabinets and fixtures fits the house to a T. And the use of beadboard adds to that feel and brightens up both the sunroom and the kitchen. I have removed many walls between a kitchen and a living space, and it always has such a big impact on any house. I bet you had no idea your little kitchen would end up feeling this large.
No, I really didn't. And even just taking the original kitchen, the footprint, it's the same footprint, but just this section seems so much bigger. But then you have this whole other space connected to it. It just flows really great.
Yeah, it's really nice how it flows out into the sunroom. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this project come together. Next week, we wrap up our First Time Homeowner series right here on Today's Homeowner. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you then. You thinking about a rug or anything?